There is a conversation that happens in almost every organization when voice agents first come up as a topic. Someone in leadership has heard about them. Maybe a competitor is using one. Maybe a consultant mentioned it. The meeting gets scheduled. The demo gets booked. And then, almost without fail, the same reaction appears. It feels impersonal. Our clients expect a real person. We don't want to damage the relationship. And then the meeting ends. The initiative gets shelved, and the company continues paying 3 full-time people to answer the same 12 questions on repeat every single day. What you're watching right now is an AI clone, a digital version of me, Ronald, founder of Datawonder. We build AI automation and voice agent systems for businesses in sectors like insurance, accounting, and healthcare. I use AI every day, not as an experiment, not as a side interest. It is the core of how we operate and what we build for clients. This channel exists because most AI content either walks you through tools you'll never use or makes predictions that age badly. What I want to do here is something different. I want to talk about what actually happens inside companies when AI gets deployed. The organizational patterns, the decisions that go wrong, the things that don't show up in the demo. If that's the kind of analysis you're looking for, subscribing makes sense. No hype, no trends, just real patterns from real deployments. Now, back to voice. The resistance I described at the start, it's real. I've heard it consistently across different industries, different company sizes, different leadership styles. And the interesting thing is, it always sounds like a customer experience concern. But when you look at it more closely, it's almost never that. It's something else. When a leadership team says, "Our clients want human contact," they are usually describing something accurate. Clients do want to feel heard. Clients do want their issues resolved. Clients do want to interact with someone or something that treats them like they matter. That is a real and legitimate expectation. But they are also making an assumption. They're assuming that the current human-staffed process actually delivers that. And in most of the organizations I work with, it doesn't. Not consistently, not at scale. Here's what's actually happening in a typical insurance firm, or a busy accounting practice, or a mid-sized medical clinic. The phone lines open at 8. By 9, there's already a queue. The person answering calls is also managing emails, updating records, and handling internal requests from other departments. By midday, the team is stretched. Response times go up. The tone goes flat. Clients wait longer than they should for answers to questions that haven't changed since last year. The human is there, but the human experience isn't. And yet the organization still cites human contact as the reason not to automate. The logic has drifted from reality, but nobody has named it out loud yet. This is the gap I keep seeing. Not a technology gap, a perception gap. Executives are defending an ideal that their current operation isn't actually delivering. And because the voice agent is the visible change, the thing you can point to and debate, it becomes the target for concerns that belong somewhere else entirely. If you found that observation useful, the like button is right there. It helps more people find this kind of content. Let me go one level deeper, because this is where the real strategic cost starts to show up. Every time a routine call goes to a human, it costs something. There's the direct cost, salary, time, overhead. But there's also a second cost that rarely gets measured. Every routine call that absorbs a human's time is a call that prevents them from doing something else, something harder, something that actually requires their judgment, their experience, their relationship with the client. In insurance, that might be a complex claim that needs careful handling. In accounting, it's a client conversation about restructuring that requires trust built over years. In healthcare, it's a patient who is anxious and needs someone to actually listen. These are the moments where the human makes the difference, where the personal touch is not a preference, it's the point. But the human can't be in that conversation if they're explaining for the 14th time today where to find the claim form. Voice agents don't remove the human from the business. They protect the human's time so the human can show up where they actually matter. That is the inversion most executives haven't made yet. They see automation as a replacement. The more accurate frame is protection. You are protecting the most valuable thing. Your team has the capacity for high-quality judgment by removing the low-value load that sits on top of it. Once that shift happens, the conversation changes completely. It moves from, will this feel impersonal? To, what kinds of interactions should this agent handle? And what kinds should it escalate immediately? That's a much more productive question, because now you're designing a system. You're thinking about routing logic, about escalation triggers, about handoff quality. You're treating the client experience as something to engineer, not just something to protect by leaving everything untouched. And here's what I've seen when organizations make that shift in practice. The first thing they notice is volume, the sheer number of routine inbound interactions that were quietly consuming their team's day. In most cases, it's higher than anyone expected. The people answering those calls knew it. Leadership often didn't. The second thing they notice is consistency. A voice agent gives the same answer every time, at the same quality level, at 2 in the afternoon and at 8 in the morning. The human, by contrast, is variable, not because they're incompetent, because they're human. They're tired at the end of a long day. They're distracted when something urgent comes in from another direction. Consistency at scale is genuinely hard for humans to maintain. It's structurally simple for a well-built agent. The third thing, and this one takes longer to see, is what the team does with the capacity they get back. This is where the real strategic value emerges. When the routine load is handled, the people who were buried in it start doing other things, better things, client retention work, complex problem solving, internal process improvement, things that were always on the list but never had time. The voice agent created that time, not by replacing the person, by clearing the path. Now, I want to be honest about something. Deploying a voice agent is not a trivial decision. It requires thinking carefully about what the agent says, how it escalates, what happens when something unexpected comes in. It requires thinking about the security implications, especially in regulated industries. A voice agent that handles client data in insurance or healthcare is not just a communication tool. It's a system with an attack surface. That needs to be evaluated and addressed before go-live, not after. The companies that get this wrong are usually the ones that move fast to ship something without walking through what the failure modes actually look like. When a voice agent mishandles a sensitive call in a regulated environment, the consequence is not just a bad customer experience. It can be a compliance issue, a liability question, a reputational event. These things are manageable, but only if they're treated as part of the deployment, not as a footnote. The organizations that get this right are the ones that approach it as a design system, not a deployed product. There's a meaningful difference between those two framings. So when I hear executives say they're not ready for voice, I don't hear a technology problem. I hear an education gap. They haven't seen a well-designed deployment. They're imagining the worst version of the thing, usually based on a bad experience they had as a customer somewhere else. The job, honestly, is to show them what the right version looks like, because the question isn't whether voice has strategic value. It does, and the companies already running it in their sector are demonstrating that in very concrete terms. The question is whether the people making the decision understand it well enough to evaluate it accurately. Most don't, yet. And that gap is exactly what creates the competitive window for the organizations that move first. Not recklessly, but thoughtfully and with the right architecture in place. I'm curious where you are in this conversation. If you're inside an organization that's been discussing voice agents, what's the resistance that keeps coming up? Drop it in the comments. It's almost always more interesting than it feels impersonal. If you'd like to explore what a voice agent deployment could actually look like for your business, you can book a free call with me. The link is right below this video.